This list is a no periodic future exams will be requested if, and I'm going to go ahead and list them down. I'm going to caveat this though, or kind of give you, an upfront. You're going to hear a word called static. Static just means the disability is not likely to improve over the span of the veteran's life. When your static disabilities, equal 100%, that is how veterans get 100% P&T. Okay, it has to be static. Now, every time we say this on whatever channel you watch, I guarantee you're going to see 50 comments below that video that says, "How do I know my conditions are static?" Okay, it's happened every time. There's two things I want to say. The technical answer, which is just request your rating code sheet from your regional office. Requesting a single sheet, a rating code sheet, is generally fast. It's probably 3 days to 2 weeks. You'll get that. If you request your entire C file, that's going to be like 6-7 months just to be real, right? But rating code sheet will tell you lumbar strain, diagnostic code, whatever it is, static, not static, not static, static. That's how you find out. But I'm going to give you a general answer, and this is what I've seen, and it kind of goes along with the medical consensus. And no, I'm not a doctor, but I read a lot, okay? Generally speaking, a diagnosed musculoskeletal condition does not heal. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, cartilage in your knee has disappeared. You have IVDS in your back. You have surgery on your shoulder, surgery on your wrist. None of those are healing. There's nothing you can do short of a miracle to make your joints and your bones heal. So 99% of the time, that's deemed static. There's a warning there, though, is, sometimes the diagnosis, if you look at the ICD code, which is International Classification for Diseases, which is a formal diagnosis, lower back pain can be a diagnosis. And under the VA schedule of ratings, pain with full range of motion is generally 10%. And that's for wrist, elbows, back, knees. I mean, basically everything. But it is a diagnosed condition, but not in the sense of like L4, L5 spine deteriorated, right? It's different. It's a strain. And so those musculoskeletal conditions are probably, it depends on you if those are static versus like a IVDS or a spine injury. Just food for thought. I just wanted to say that generically. The most common conditions that are not static are mental health is probably up. I mean, cancers are number one, but mental health is probably up there because mental health with treatment I'm not saying it can heal, but it's been proven to improve, right? And so that emotional distance you feel with your kids over time through years of treatment could improve. So generally speaking, if you're 100% with a 7% rating for mental health, I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that it's mental health, okay? But I just want to say that up front. Here's the list for re-examinations, and this is, again, 38 CFR 3.327. You can read this for yourself. I'm going to start at number 2. I'm going to read it verbatim. So there's no, I don't want to put my spin on this. This is exactly what it says. No periodic future examinations will be requested in service-connected cases. No periodic re-examination will be scheduled. And here's the list. When the disability is established as static, got it. When the findings and symptoms are shown by examinations of this section or other exams and hospital reports, remember that because we're gonna revisit this, hospital reports to have persisted without material improvement for a period of 5 years or more. So that's the first kicker, 5 years. Where the disability from disease is permanent in character and of such nature that there is no likelihood of improvement. That's like the IVDS diagnosis in the back, right? There's 3 more. In cases of veterans over 55 years of age, except under unusual circumstances. And I'm going to read that one again because this is another common question I get. I'm 61. Am I going to be reduced? That answer is no. in cases of veterans over 55 years of age, that answer is no. It says unusual circumstances, and generally it's going to get back at those cancers, right? You
Mhm.
have cancer. If your cancer metastasizes, meaning it goes other places, um, all of those can be reduced on residuals given it's healed, right? And when I say healed, I mean until it comes back. Um, Personally, I don't think that's right. I think that needs to be a change, but that's the VA. That's how the VA is working, right? Two more. When the rating is prescribed schedule minimum, like a 0%, can't be reduced, obviously. And then here's the big one here is let's say you are 100% total and your hearing loss goes from 10 to 0. If that hearing loss 10 to 0 doesn't take you from 100 to 90, then they won't reduce hearing loss. Okay. And so the VA will wait until your reductions reduce your overall rating, whether that's 90 to 80, 90 to 50, 100 to whatever, your overall rating has to be reduced. So the VA isn't, they're not, they are handpicking disabilities. They're not looking at your overall rating, if that makes sense. So that's straight from the horse's mouth. Jason, do you have anything else on re-examinations?
Yeah, I just want to kind of clarify the last one a little bit. It's not so much that this isn't about everything that Clay just said is absolutely true, but it's not directly the VA will not reduce you because of these. No. The VA will not re-examine you. The re-examination
Yeah.
could lead to a reduction, if that makes sense. So this is all about re-examinations. The only reason you would have a re-examination is if your condition is not static, right? All of these other ways, the first way is talking about being static, right? So if they deem you static, then all the other ones, except for the last one, really, or the last two, kind of, are just other ways to say that your condition is probably static, right? As we age, we heal not as effectively, right? So because you're 55 and older, you're probably not going to get better just because of age, which means that it's probably static. The 5-year thing, right? If it's been deemed basically flatlined for a period of 5 years or more, they're calling that static. Now, an important piece here, and again, this goes back to, I love how Clay said it, right? Educated. Because you know this, right? This is where the rubber meets the road, right? We can sit here and talk all day long. If you don't do anything with it, it doesn't matter. This type of information is valuable because what I hear in this is, oh, so you mean if I'm going to file for GERD today and I just got diagnosed, I don't know, a couple years ago, okay, that's not 5 years, but let me try to hedge my bets a little bit and see if I could manufacture some additional evidence with my doctor and let them know, hey, look, I've had GERD since I was in service 15 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. So can you please put that the onset or the manifestation of my GERD has been since back here? If they do, and they make it clear, the VA may go, oh, it's been more than 5 years. We're going to call that static, right? They may. Now, they may go, well, we just got the earliest diagnosis we have is 3 years ago, right? We're not at the 5-year mark, even though there is evidence in there that says that it was prior. They could still go, we're not going to give them static, so we'll make it not with a future exam, right? So you're going to have this future exam. However, now you know that once you hit the 5-year mark, right, that now you've hit the 5-year mark, you've been going, you've done your follow-up CNP, you have all this, you're going in with power. You know, hey, look, I've been going once a year to my doctor for my GERD. Now we're at 6 years since I've had it. It has not gotten any better. I have a letter from my doctor that says that it's static, and it's been 6 years now, and I'm at my CNP exam. You have a good chance to get that now all wrapped up and put into a static category. Now, I'm going to give a quick story here on this, and I love that you tied in that last one, Clay, with the 100% aspect. What Clay was saying there, just to kind of say it again, is if you have 8 conditions and all together they take you up to over 100%, all of them are static except for one, right? So all of a sudden it's like, well, you have this one future exam out there that could happen, but the VA will look at it and go, okay, well, if it doesn't change my overall rating, whether this is a 0 or a 30, it doesn't matter. So then they'll just go, well, we don't even need to do an exam. They'll just call it a day and move forward. And it's just to save time and resources, right? Why re-examine you for something that it will make no difference on how much money they're paying out? This isn't a medical appointment to check you and check your care and make sure that you're solid. This is for compensation. So so remember that that's a big difference. This is to pay you money, not to take care of you, right? The VHA is for that. Now, the quick story is VA will not always get this right. This is back onto the permanent and total aspect. Most people will not just get 100% permanent and total out the gate, one shot, you're done. Most people are going to file multiple claims, adding secondaries, looking for increases, finding another service-connected piece, and next thing you know, it's been 7 or 8 different claims over a period of however many years, with appeals and all kinds of things involved. So there's been a lot of moving pieces. Okay, some of these conditions were static, some had future exams, some over the course of time have now had the 5-year rule in effect. Now those have turned static. Maybe you've turned 55, so other things have. All that to say is that sometimes the VA doesn't keep up. There's no magical flashing light that shows up to say, hey, this person has all static conditions up to 100% now. We need to change them to permanent and total. There's no flashing lights for that. So sometimes you need to let the VA know. So for example, I'll give the fast version, Clay. I personally filed a bunch of different claims over the course of time, and I finally got to 100%. Great. Was not permanent in total because I had one condition that was, and it was GERD, and it had a future exam, so out 3 to 5 years from that time period. So super excited, 100%. Not super excited because it's not permanent in total, so you get that whole kind of weary thing like, man, I hope I don't ever get reduced. But in the meantime, I also had an appeal with the board for migraines, looking for an increase. If that went through, I no longer needed GERD to be at 100%. It did get approved. They kicked it back to the VA and said, it's approved, higher percentage, let's call it a day. It remained static. So I still had, so now all my conditions are static at 100%. I no longer needed GERD to be at 100%, so it could be a 0, doesn't matter. So I had to contact VA and say, hey, look, all of these conditions over here that are static add up to 100%. The GERD that I had the future exam for is not even relevant. You could take it away completely. I don't need it to have my 100% static conditions. And then they switched me over to permanent and total, and then here we are today, right?